Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Do do do. Okay, I am there. And I am just out doing the stream stuff. Watching the things and doing the stream stuff. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Okay, I am gonna mute this. So I'm hopeful that I'm gonna be able to see the chat over there. And I'm just gonna do a little bit of moving around. Hello, good evening, everyone. How is everyone doing this evening? If you are able to just drop into the chat and say hello, that would be fantastic. For the folks of us at home, we aren't going to be doing much today. So tonight we're going to focus on a little bit of world building, but I'm just going to wait a little bit for 8 o'clock to finally actually roll around, send out a couple more messages, and we'll see who ends up showing up. And hopefully I won't just spend the next 2 hours talking to myself. Here's hoping. Okay. There's the one person there, and it's all I'm doing. We've got 6 minutes to go. 6 minutes to go. 6 minutes to go. 5 minutes to go. Hello, hello. Welcome to the stream. Just feel free to say hello when you get the chance, just so I can, see people are actually here. Are you evil? Am I evil? What do you mean evil? Doing my dance-a dance, doing my dance-a dance. How are we doing this evening, folks? I am just kind of breaking and wasting some of the time before 8 o'clock actually rolls around. Thank you so much for coming to visit the stream. It's going to be 2 hours of going over the basics of world building. We're going to cover, at least I'm going to try to cover in those 2 hours, the actual building of a map itself, and some of the process that goes into that, and what you can do. It seems I am having difficulties with my camera. Okay, well, we're back. Hello, hello. Alright, we're gonna have an occasional technical difficulty, it seems, with our, ooh. That casing is not on correctly. With some of our desk cam. Yeah, no, for some reason my desk camera just turned off. But that's okay. So, okay, whoops. Alright, we're just going to go and do some things. Moving around, having a good time. I apologize for the mess on the desk. That's just kind of how my state of existence is, and now you also know this is not like some kind of falsified environment for creators. Sometimes it just looks like shit. So, in about 3 minutes, we're going to kick everything off. I'm going to go over what we're going to try and focus on and accomplish tonight in the 2 hours we have together. Go over some of the materials I'm going to use, and it's a really simple list, so you don't have to worry about it too much. And then we're going to see about how far we can actually go with the world building itself. It shouldn't be too terribly complicated, but we're just going to kind of take this and see how it goes, and then take this into the next week. Do a little dance, do a little dance. Mm-hmm. Dance. Also, I just want to know, why do you want to know if I'm evil? I'm not particularly evil. I wouldn't even actually call myself evil at all, but that's beside the point. I'm just going to sit there. Not like, hello, or how are you? The question is, are you evil, man? And I don't know how I should feel about that, in full truth. Ugh. Hello, welcome to the stream. We have about a minute before we kick everything off. And then I will go over our content again just one more time before we really get into the meat and potatoes of the next 2 hours. Hello. Thank you so much for coming into the stream. You know what? Actually, I think it's alright if we start a little bit early. Just say hi in the chat, just so I know you're there. And with that, let's get into it. So again, tonight, I'm just going to cover some of the basic parts of world building. That's going to be the map and any kind of significant features that you're going to end up working around. I'm just going to change this angle here real quick. There we go. I'm going to go into some of the techniques that I use when it comes to world building and making maps and things like that. Hopefully, and just come up with some general process so you guys can come along with the ride from steps A to Z and whatever else that needs to go on. I'm going to be doing this kind of series once a week, in addition to the days that we will be running the Chronicles of the Chaotic D&D sessions. I figured that this would be useful for other GMs who are in the audience and people who want to start getting into D&D but maybe don't want to play and want to run their own games. And I figure it would be nice in supplement to a lot of the really fantastic information that you can find on YouTube from really seasoned GMs. Maybe you might find something a little more valuable in somebody who doesn't have all the glitz and glamour behind it. So with that, let's get into what we're going to be doing tonight. So, my supplies for this process are very, very, very simple. I have a sketchbook. Here you can see my sketchbook that I never use for anything. So you can see the pages are pretty much all blank, with a few exceptions. I will be including, the sketch notes. I have notepads and sticky notes. I will use these for marking down details and things on the side if I don't keep the notes on the map page itself. And then, of course, pencils and pens of different color. One is black, one is blue. I will use this for the mechanical pencils and light lines for the majority of our outlining and general light markup, something that's very easily erased and corrected when we need to. And it's just easy to hold. Not that particularly matters, it's just great for sketching. Blue is, of course, for watermarks and lines, so you can tell the difference between a river and a road. And black is great for when you want to finalize portions of your ideas, add detail, and of course making notes. So let's go into, first and foremost, world building as a whole and the concept of what that all, where a lot of people get a little lost in the sauce when it comes to actually how this works. Now, when people think of world building, the first people that tend to come to mind are like J.R.R. Tolkien or George R.R. Martin. These are just two very common examples of fantastic writers and world builders who've put immense effort and detail into their worlds. They've gone through, they've thought about the politics, they've thought about all the races, they've thought about the, all of the individual histories of every meal, every bit of lore, every person. And that is a fantastic, I would dare say, pinnacle of world building. But your mileage may vary from this. Other fantastic examples being the entirety of the Warhammer 40k universe, just for a different flavor. Cyberpunk is another good one. The Rifts universe, anything of the Palladium books. Adventures in the Multiverse is fantastic because of how well it merges fantasy and science fiction. But the point I'm getting at here, I know it's a roundabout ways, is that people, when they hear of world building, they imagine this super elaborate and in-depth creation that simply isn't necessary all the time. You don't have to have 157,000 pages worth of lore in order for it to be considered good world building. In fact, some people, that's a complete and utter turnoff because they don't want to read your lore, they just want to get involved in the world. That's fine. Am I recording this? I should be. I am not. I am now. I thank you for reminding me. I completely forgot to start recording this. That would be unfortunate. Oh, and that was such a good introduction too. But I will go back over it again later on. We're just going to start with some very, very was. You know what? At this point in time, I'll just edit it in post. Basically, I was talking about and just doing the introduction, covering what I need to cover. Fuck it, I'll do it next time, that's fine. So we're just going to start off with some very, very simple content. You don't need to make anything amazing. It doesn't have to be beautiful or perfect, but this is where we're starting with. So the easiest thing for me to do, and I know a lot of people stumble over this, a number of my friends are what we call perfectionists. They want to go into a project with a clear idea of how to go from A to B and every little detail planned out in advance. That will get you into a circumstance called analysis paralysis, and you'll never get anything done. So here's how we're going to start this, and some people may hate it, you may love it, I don't know, but it's a good way to get the process started. We're just going to take this and draw a shape. Maybe we're going to add some extra shapes. Maybe another bigger shape down there. Okay, perfect. So I don't know if you can see that. Let's change the lighting here really quick. I know that's going to look terrible on my face, but that's beside the point. Hopefully you guys are able to see it a little bit better. I'm just going to change the camera. Perfect. Okay. So, we now have shapes on a board, which is more than what we had a couple seconds ago, and that's important. Do these shapes mean anything? No. Are they in any kind of long-term plan? Also no, but that's okay. What we do next is we start to define them, get ideas of what we're going to work with, erase things, add things. So I'm going to start. Let's clean up this corner a little bit. You know, in the real world, most shapes, at least on a large scale, are not necessarily violently sharp unless something somewhat unnatural has occurred at some point in time. So you're going to find, instead of just random sharp curves here, you'll get more tiny curved inlets. So they're not as sharp. So we can go in here and start erasing bits. And you have, change this from what it was to a new shape entirely. Just start rounding out some corners. And honestly, it's not even that bad of a shape as it is. I'm just going in through here and start etching things out. And fill out some of the more lightly colored areas. I am, by the way, just for reference, I'm not an artist, so this will it will exist in a state of constantly looking like shit. If you were to ask my father, who is thankfully here in the audience with us tonight, how he does it, when I was younger, I would see these sketches of just random maps that my dad had drawn. In fact, he was the mind behind the Lavendus map, which is what I'm using for the campaign for the Chronicles of the Chaotic, because it was made when I was but a wee boy and had no access to computers or competent skills. So he is the originator of any kind of creativity that I have, so I have him to thank for that. In the meanwhile, interesting. You know what? I think I'm going to keep this shape. It's unnatural, but I want to include that in the lore for some reason, why that's unnatural. So I'm just going to kind of like make a point mark here. Think about it. Okay, let's see. You know what? I'm going to make some shapes within this shape, because I think it being one large landmass is kind of boring. So we're going to add this shape there. There's your shape there. And I'm going to make a much bigger inland, I'll call it an inland sea at that point in time. We're just going to make that there. Then from there we'll take our blue pen, just kind of a marker here. We're going to trace alongside those pencil marks in the blue pen. I know my hand will cover it from the camera here for a little while, but I will show you the finished results here in a minute. Yeah. Now I'm a little salty. I can't believe I forgot to start recording. Usually I have other people on team who end up hitting the recording button and recording it otherwise. But that's okay. Sometimes we just make mistakes and we roll with it. And honestly, it's a pretty important part of world building. People get all wrapped up when they want this world to be perfect. Oh, it has to absolutely be the most perfect creation and embody all of their creative mastery. Nothing can possibly go wrong. But what's important is getting involved in the process and learning about things and how you can improve it for the next time around. And as somebody who for a very, very long time, and even to this day, sets myself up to have ridiculously high personal standards for myself, that can be tough. It really can. So I've found that doing these exercises in randomness can really help kind of break those down. If you're the type who wants to do cross hatching or hatching, you could just we'll just do some light water work in there just to denote these as actually bodies of water rather than just action. Okay. Yeah, I could do that around the whole entirety of the outside, but that's how this works. I'm not going to waste the ink. You know what this is. Now that I think about it, I'm gonna add one of those neat little shapes inside this island too. Give it a good old inland lake. Yeah, just like that. I think, I'm kind of debating. because I have an idea. These could be really cool, like a volcanic island chain, kind of like Hawaii. You go, each one of them is a small little volcano in and of itself. Maybe all of this is volcanic. Actually, that would be really cool. I'm thinking all of these are going to be volcanic. And what we have are these. It was just one giant volcano. Maybe that's part of the world lore. Actually, let me note that down. I'm just going to put these up here in the corner. World was created by volcanic okay. I'll flesh out what that means later on, because you can't create a planet with a volcanic eruption. You need to already have a planet for that, but that's beside the point. So, I'm going to roll with this idea that this is just a chain of volcanic islands and like a major continent surrounded around this volcanic chain, with smaller volcanic islands around the side, around it, and kind of broken off. Let's see, what is that gonna mean? Let's clean this up a little bit. I'm just gonna clean up that corner a little bit, and just gonna erase that bit as a whole. So you can see that a lot of these ideas, I came into this having no clue or concept of what I was going to do or going to make. A lot of these are just the evolutionary processes of how you can whip up ideas without limiting yourself in advance. People have this habit of trapping themselves in concepts of what they want to make, how they want to do it, and they will agonize themselves to damn near death by trying to get to a predetermined destination that they had no idea how to set up. One of the very, I'll say liberating, as that is a pretty good functional word for this, but one of the better ways to get out of those habits and to try and find new things and new ideas is to simply not give yourself the option. So when I take myself out of the, all right, well, I want to make this and this and this and this and this, and switch over to, let's just see what the heck happens, you get new ideas, new concepts. And so we're just going to go back to cleaning these little details up. Okay. That's not too bad. Yeah, those eraser smudges. I'll deal with them later. So, let's go, and from here, let's see, let's start working on rivers. Now, when you're building rivers, it is important to remember one thing. Rivers flow downstream. They must abide by the laws of gravity, with only one notable exception in the world, and that is due to, I believe it's eruptions and or earthquakes that change the polarity. I can't even remember that. But we're not going to deal with the odd ones out unless you are building this world to simply to say, fuck physics, I do what I want, which is perfectly valid, and don't let anybody tell you otherwise. If somebody else wants to harsh your creative mellow, flip them the bird and go on to doing what you were supposed to do. That's fine. But I'm going to choose to abide by the laws of physics here, and we're going to start creating rivers that go downward. Now, let's see. Hi, Ram. And hey, yeah, no, I'm sorry you're at work too. It's pretty late in the evening, but hopefully you'll be able to get out soonish. I will be streaming until 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. We've just gotten started. We're about 25 minutes in, and I started a little early. So, if you're able to get out and join the stream, yeah, just hop back in when you get the opportunity. I'm going to be here till about 10 o'clock. And we'll see where we're at by then. So anyways, we're making rivers. We're going to make it rain. We're going to figure out how all that works. So, I'm thinking this is going to... I keep grabbing this other pen, or the other pencil, but I want to go through the lead on this one first. Alright, let's get some curves. Rivers never run in a straight line. Don't want to miss the stream. Don't worry, we're on rivers right now. I know I'm a comedic genius. But rivers never run in a straight line. They will take every opportunity to curve and split away from... to split away off in their own direction. Maybe they will always take the path of least resistance. Alright, and here's that. We're going to add another one right in here. Alright, and there's that. Maybe we're gonna... Okay, you know what? Here's what I'm gonna do. Alright. We're gonna make from that little detail from what I wanted to keep from earlier. I'm just gonna put that up here. Just gonna make one big river up to this major body of water up here. I'm thinking this is like the original. I am recording the stream at this point in time. We missed a couple minutes. I missed about 12 minutes worth of content, and that's okay. It was just going over, what world building is, setting some expectations. I went over the materials and that I'm going to be using and why. I might not even use all of them. And I'm hoping that actually the desk cam turns out to be pretty useful. So that way you can see exactly what I'm doing and how it's going about. But anyways, I'm thinking, all right, here's what I'm going to do, because I'm going to turn, this is going to have a connection in there. I'm going to make another connection over here. Yeah, I like that. It's all coming together. Let's make a couple other connections. Let's say we're just going to go over here. Yeah, I'm thinking I want lots of rivers on this one. And that one's just going to that's where it heads out to sea. Like that. I like that a lot. Okay. Now let's get some river action in over here. I know the curves kind of seem arbitrary, and I just seem to hold to a certain pattern with these, and in full honesty, that's fair. Rivers are supposed to be kind of wild, random, and curve, and ebb and flow with how the actual waterways work. Do not mind my water. It is 100% very much water. Remember to hydrate and drink plenty of water. Definitely water. If you get the opportunity, drink water that you actually like. But that's beside the point. All right, so we've sketched a couple of those out. I can't believe I'm stumbling over my own words here. Let's start inking over those in blue, just so we know what they are. They don't look like roads. Okay. I know I alluded to this earlier. When I was younger, I would see these drawings of maps my dad would make, and they were always color-coded, and you could see, where the mountains began and how they worked, and all the forests and jungles, and he had all sorts of colors out. He abused the absolute hell out of the highlighters he had at work. I'm gonna be real with you. That's the only way you got that many colors. But when he would be done, it wouldn't even be a full big thing like this. It would just be something on like a small piece of scrap paper that he could just doodle. It was just one of those things where he just sketched out an idea for a whole world on a napkin while other people make a whole goddamn production out of it, like I am.
Like, it's not supposed to, I mean, it can be just something you do, no big deal. And for some people it is. And others, it's just like, yeah, sure, I got it, whatever. You don't have to overcomplicate it. You just start going with what you're going. And I'll tell you this, again, I've never been an artsy kind of person. I've made exactly one picture in my life that I am proud of, and it was a self-portrait. I know that makes me sound very vain, but I was literally just working from a photo, and I didn't have to draw any lines. It was just shading. All of it was just shading and shadow. Alright, we're gonna ink over these ones. Perfect. And right up here. Yeah, I got lots of tributaries up here. I'm just gonna move a lot. And thank you again, everyone, for showing up for the stream. I know it's a Wednesday night, so maybe not a whole lot going on, especially in the middle of this pandemic. I know I say middle, mostly because there's no end in sight, and I'd like to at least give the illusion that we've made some progress on this, even though we all know we haven't. But let's think more pleasant thoughts, shall we? Alright, and actually, speaking of that point in time, there, the last of the rivers have been inked up. At least on the main continent. I'm thinking there's going to be one here. Going to move on to some of these other ones. And eventually I'll get to these smaller islands out here. But I won't spend too much time for that. At least not right now. Maybe we'll have another one that just kind of runs out here. Yeah, that's it. I think that's all I'm going to give this island. I'll just ink over them real quick and call it a day on that one. Alright, we're just going to kind of just hash this in here real quick, just so we know what that is. Okay. Now, I don't have any highlighters, so I'm just going to be using this pen as often as I can. Okay. So, we have, at the start here, of a pretty okay, at best, map. I haven't outlined any of the territories themselves. Actually, I should do that next, and now that I'm thinking about it. Just go outline the coast. I think I'm going to work on this main continent first, since that will give me the most content. Hey. Thanks for hopping into the stream. Appreciate it. Feel free to hang around. I'm not going to be covering any spoilery content for the Chronicles of the Chaotic campaign in here, so my players are more than welcome to hang out and see some of the process, at least that I use when I'm building worlds. And here's the other thing. There are hundreds and hundreds of GMs out there. Some of them have a very rigid idea of how to world build. They will, give you an organized list of their entire process of everything from how to sketch out the map to how to decide what hand the certain culture, eats with a fork, and if it's called a fork, or what they use. Some people are very, very particular about their process. I am not. There are a lot of things that I have that are very thorough and very particular about things, but I tend to keep things open-ended to the best of my ability, especially because most of my settings will involve D&D players, so I need to give them more agency to actually act and influence the world, the story, and things like that. So, that agency is very, very important to me as a GM and a world builder, as well as a player, when I get the opportunity to not be on the business end of the DM screen. Well, no, that would be the player, but that's beside the point. Irrelevant details and semantics. So we're just going over here. I am hardlining over some of the earlier sketch lines. This is more of a finalized idea. And this kind of goes back to what I was talking about earlier. When you hardline over something, you can't erase it anymore. It's done. It's in ink, not pencil. And sometimes what will happen is you will hardline over something, and then maybe 20 or 30 minutes later, or wherever in your process, you run into something and you go, well, shit, I don't like that. And then you're kind of fucked. At least to some people. What you can end up doing then is just you have to work around these new challenges, or you build lore into it. What happened to change it from something that would make sense to what it is now, and what are the repercussions of that? So, for example, I'm gonna explain and use this piece up here that with an odd angle. Most land masses on a large scale do not curve that sharply. They just don't. That's usually a result of something catastrophic occurring or something man-made. I think I'm going to use this as an opportunity to build some sort of man-made event into this world's history as to why it is that shape. And if it works, that'll be great. If it doesn't, we improvise. That's all we do. We improvise. Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning into the stream. I just see we now have 7 people watching. I appreciate you tuning in for the show, even if you just have it on in the background and are listening to me ramble with no context, which sometimes may actually be more entertaining than trying to pay attention to what I'm actually talking about. But that's up to you. I am just going over and hardlining the outline of the main continent that we're going to be working with for the continuation of this this series. I'm going to go over bits and pieces of world building and cover content to help GMs who are just starting out, or they want to get a couple extra fresh-ish ideas. I say fresh-ish because I too am learning and pulling from a lot of the same places they are in most cases. And here we go. Okay. Our main continent is now hard outlined. Bam. I just kind of realized it looks a little bit like a radish. Is that, by the way, is that sideways to you? Nah, I know how we're going to do this. All right. Nonsense. It's not sideways. It is, it is creatively aligned to fit the viewer's vision. Yeah, look at that. We improvise. How's that? So, now it is the correct way for you guys. It's just a little weird for me. I'm just drawing it sideways, which is fine. I was originally thinking that it kind of looks like a radish. I can't remember if I said this or not. But that's okay. Now, where do we go from here? Well, I got bodies of water. We have rivers. We have the general continent shape. Now, earlier we decided that this was going to be volcanic, and that this up here is the highest point of elevation. So we're probably going to have some kind of volcanic basin, like a huge volcanic basin that has since filled in with rainwater and acts as a sort of colossal inland sea. I just had an inkling. Maybe it isn't super high up. Like, it's a kind of, it's not like a super, super high volcano. Maybe this world is kind of flat-ish. But somebody's carved their city into the rim of this basin. And that's like a giant trade network of sorts. Just kind of exists on this inland sea and uses the other networks of lakes and rivers to connect out. Remind me, we're just gonna actually make a note of that here real quick. Cities on rim of in world sea. Of inland sea. Okay. I think these are the sorts of concepts that we're going to keep working around and just kind of kicking around in the back of our mind as we continue to develop things. So, maybe, we'll toy around with the height of the volcano later on when that becomes more relevant. What I want to focus on now is greenery. Now, some of you may not have any kind of real idea of how the world works. And I don't mean that in like, oh, well, politics and blah, 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 blah. I mean on a sense of geography and... Wow, I'm completely blanking on the words. Basically, how plants interact with everything else, the food chain. I keep thinking it's not geography. Ecology. Thank you. Ecology is there, and a rock scientist. I keep geologist? I think that's geologist. Yeah, I'm having a difficult time with words right now because I'm the class I'm thinking of. I know what geology is. For some reason, I'm completely blanking on the word for the class that basically forces you to try and remember where certain things are on a map. Like, I can't remember what the name of that class is. And no, I haven't smoked in months. Oh man, I haven't used the hookah in months. I think that's geography. Yeah, geography. Ugh. Too many geos, but that's beside the point. But just how will these individual systems interact with one another? How does a volcano influence the plant life around it? And how does that plant life interact with all of the fish and birds and other animals? Are there other animals? Is this a desolate hellscape of volcanic ash and lava? Hearts. I mean, I could see that, like an anatomically correct heart. I could kind of see it. Sure. But all of these things interact together. And I don't want to get into anything too terribly complicated because that's not what this is about. But things you do need to look at. Hellish Landscape, please. Okay. All right. Sure. Okay. You know what? I'm kind of getting a bit of a Morrowind vibe from this, in a sense. I'm thinking lots of lava, or I'm definitely thinking most of these islands are very heavily volcanic, or it's just hot. Hey, Colin. Good evening. Good evening. Glad you could join us. You know what? I'm honestly, Hellish Landscape. I can dig it. I can work with it. So I'm thinking most of this is going to be just covered in ash and volcanic veins and obsidian and basalt and pumice. Lots of really inhospitable rock. But I want to make a couple areas that are super fertile, that you can grow crops all year round, because the ash is nutrient rich, the ground is warm, and while it's not going to be things like sunflowers or plants that require a lot of sun, you can have things like root plants. You can have lots of things like would be equivalent of radishes or carrots. Hell, maybe even cabbage, because cabbage grows apparently everywhere. So we're going to go, I'm just going to make these notes here. Hellish Landscape. So I want to include ash everywhere. High temperature. Things like obsidian and pumice. Not hummus, pumice. Now those two are very, very good because they provide a lot of basis for things like weapons and art and other utility things. So those will all play roles in how we build civilization later on. I want fertile zones. And I kind of want those like around the water. So like out here in these far areas, except along the green zones along the river, where it's water and ash and you have very, very fertile land. Out here it's just going to be jagged crags of volcanic bullshit and suffering. Okay, so we're going to have hyper-fertile zones around the water. I don't have any colors for that, unfortunately. So maybe I'll just kind of... I'll just do some light shading like this to cover over some of the content. I wish I had a green highlighter. Do I have a green highlighter? I have a bright-ass yellow highlighter. I don't think I have the means to get green, but I can certainly try. Ooh, and I have a Sharpie. Good. I'll need that. That'll do, I guess. Okay. So, you know what? I'm just gonna take one of these these highlighters. We're gonna see if they work. And you know what? I think I'm gonna highlight over the green zone. What would be considered fertile land. I don't even know if it's gonna show up. Oh, well, if I actually would have paid attention in art class and remembered, and weren't, red-green colorblind, I would remember that if I mix yellow and blue, it gets green. Some of you may be able to see it, but I can't. So enjoy the thing. I will take you to the things I myself cannot have. Just gonna trace over. Okay. Hey, thank you. You know, I'm not surprised you got that reference, all things. I was going to say $5 to anybody who got it, but, you know, all right, fair enough. I feel like that's cheating at that point. You are the knower of all things esoteric, comic book related, but that you could have gotten out of the Infinity War series, but that's beside the point. Alright, we're gonna take you and just kind of highlight around that. And I will inevitably actually let's just do it now while I'm here. Alright, I'm just gonna making our way around, sketching fast so I can provide some general entertainment. Do. I'm hoping. Do. I'm okay. Do. Terry Crews and White Chicks just kind of just do. Good movie, by the way. If you haven't seen it yet before, it's a very good movie. Hilarious. Pretty much anything Terry Crews is in is fucking hilarious. But that's beside the point. All right. Shake out the hand every now and then when you get hand cramps. As you can imagine, I don't draw very often, so I deal with hand cramps a little more often than I would like. But that is okay. So we are here for a good time, not a long time. Not that that has any relevance to what I was talking about. Okay, we're just making our way downtown, walking fast. Yeah, no, all of you are now subject to ADHD roulette inside my head of what random song is going to be leaving my face for the next hour. Speaking of which, we're coming up on the hour mark here. So at that point in time, we really might just, take a moment to have a break, go get a drink, go to the bathroom, do whatever you need to do, and then we will come back and continue on covering content and just taking on to the next steps. So don't touch that dial, but also just go do what you gotta do. I'm just gonna be finishing this up, and I'm gonna take a pause myself if I can figure out how. Actually, I don't think I can. That'll be neat. I don't have those fancy away slides yet. I'm still working on upgrading from the Stone Ages of OBS. But that's okay. Alright, so we're still going around here. And of course, last but not least, this last stretch here on the main continent. Cool. So, now we have our green zones of fertile areas. Oh wow, you really can see that on the overhead. Very nice. I'm glad. That looks good. I mean, it's highlighter, so I'm glad you can see it in general, but so
just as a bit of a wrap up before we hit the hour mark, we are going to be looking at. Oh. Sorry, streaming for almost an hour. It's almost 9 o'clock here. Yeah, I'll go a little bit longer. That's okay. I apologize. I seem to be receiving messages. Took over the. Alright, yeah. Sorry about that. I just had to respond to a message. So. Excuse me. At this rate, we're going to take a pause here for a couple minutes. And then we're going to see how things continue to go. And we will. Well, let me. Oop. Okay, so I guess I do now have an away screen. Nice. Well, I will, gonna do some live edits here, I suppose. We're just gonna add in an image, and we're gonna go away and have a good time, 'cause we can. The sun will come out tomorrow while we go through and do some work. When we'll do some work. Oh wow, I can't believe y'all are just getting a live view of how this works. And text, create new. We're just gonna drop that font size immediately. Okay, cool. Well, that's also terrible. All right, well. One of these days I'll be competent at what I'm supposed to do, but not today. Oh boy. Alright. And so while I'm trying to fix all of this, oh, okay. That is not at all what I want. Okay, that'll do. Alright, and with that, I will be right back. Okay. And we're back. How's everybody doing? Sorry about that. Everybody take their opportunities to get a drink, go to the bathroom, all that fun stuff. I know it was a little bit longer than just 5 minutes, and that's okay. Sorry, folks. My girlfriend just sent me a photo of a cat that is not hers, that is in her possession. I have many questions, and that's okay. So, in the meanwhile, for most of you, I hope you have acquired your beverages. I have moved on from definitely water to definitely water, but non-brand. Actually, it is specifically... hold on just a minute. It is, this is DM brand water, DBW here. That is definitely not sponsored, and we're definitely not going to get sued for any other kind of branding issues. Mel, if you are watching, DBW brand beverage holders, we got an idea. Got to just put the marketing and the graphic design together so it doesn't look like shit. That's it. That's it. Does the slapstick like DBW DM brand water for all of your generic broadcasting needs, so you don't get sued by other companies for their product placement? Just like, does the kind of like sticky tack on, like, hold on, I'm gonna move away from that lighting here. Does like the sticky tack on look like fit the aesthetic? Oh, I know, it's terrible. That's the point. Like, have you ever just seen generic brand anything like beer flavored beer? It's impromptu, and it's preventing me from getting sued by the company that's on the other side of the sticky note. No, it is not. It is actually water, and it's it is a brand of water that I've been drinking. I mean, it does have good branding, but I didn't pay for their product placement. So guess who'd be getting sued? No. I'll have to go and find it for you. I think it's amazing for their marketing. It looks really good, like how they do their branding. But I will go and grab that later on. Fair enough. I know Pabst is generic beer, but you'll see what I mean. You know what? Hold on. I don't have the means to show this on. You know what? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Hold on. Hold on. Where is it? I'm gonna find it. I know I'm getting very distracted from, this, but now I need to show you this, show you what this is, just so you can gaze in the glory of minimalist design that I think is absolutely amazing. simply because of how stupidly simple it is. I wish I would have kept the can. Like, genuinely, I wish it would have kept the can. I'm going to be so sad if I can't find it. Even using the Google, of all things. Shit. Well, I can't find it here. I'll have to look it up later on. Yeah, I'll look at it later on, and that's okay. So now that I'm back to actually paying attention to what the hell I need to be doing here for the next hour, when we left, I just finished up drawing in the yellow highlights here for what are is classified as the green zone in the world. This green zone is where you have all of the very fertile land for farming. And as you've noticed, that it is pretty much exclusively around the water and around fresh water, not the sea, with the exceptions of around here where it's a river running into the sea. And those are cases where you have things like the Nile, where it's kind of a very broad delta. I could make a delta here. I'm not going to, because that would have required me to do more pre-planning and be a little more competent. See, this is what I was talking about earlier with... You make mistakes. You fuck up. You don't plan everything out to be perfect in the beginning. And then once you put it in pen, it's in pen. You can't undo it. Unless you have one of those erasable pens, and I don't. So we don't fuck with that kind of witchcraft over here. Anyways. So, excuse me. Just going through here and sketching in some light lines along in these inhospitable areas to kind of provide some context and contrast. That's what we're going after here. Yeah, no, erasable pens, witchcraft. You can't tell me that's not. I'm going to sit here and spend my entire life going, oh, pen's permanent. It's like tattoos. Like they were saying, everybody was saying for me for my whole life, tattoos are permanent. And then, you know, the wonders of technology suddenly got special lasers that'll just laser it out of your skin. Amazing what technology will do. But anyways, I'm just going to go through here and sketch these in. Yeah, I know, it's not overly detailed and it's not anything amazing. But we're just using some... light sketch strokes in here just to fill in the white space. So there's always something going on somewhere. I'm just gonna lightly drag it across paper. You don't gotta murder your lead into the ground when you're doing this, and you don't have to be, fill in everything. You just need to provide context and contrast for other things. Okay, so what are we gonna do next? We have got our bodies of water, including our rivers. We have our green zone. We have our places that are habitable, things that aren't habitable. Let's put in cities, places where people live. That's kind of important if you're going to have any real existence in this particular world. Now, the way we've built this is that people are going to have... If you want to live here, you have to live along the water. Because that's the only place you can grow food, and that's the only easy way to travel. So, let's take a look at this map and see where we should put these towns and cities and villages. Well, the easy answer, in full truth, is at any major intersection on the river. So I don't have, I'm just going to use a Sharpie here, just because it'll make these marks a little more noticeable.
We're going to put one here, 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 and here. So these are cities. These bigger black dots are all cities. Major population centers where important things happen. These do not include things like towns, villages, etc. I put them here because major causeways for waterways in this world is probably going to be pretty important. Where you have these transitions into from the main basin here, the inland sea, down into the riverway for trade is a big deal. In where the river splits here is a big deal, and all of these coastal ports to go trade with other islands or other continents, whatever it may be. All of those are going to be important. Now, that's not to say you're not going to have, smaller towns and villages all dotted all along these riverways, because you can farm there. And of course, if you get the opportunity, you're going to go and farm. If you don't want to spend your life making your money on the water, like being a boatman or a fisherman or anything like that, a ferryman, sorry, not a boatman, same thing, boatman, ferryman, bleh, whatever. You can go make your living on the land or working a skilled trade, but that's beside the point. So we have our major city points here, and just in general all across the map. How are we going to differentiate between the cities and the towns? Well, let's see. You know what? Let's just... The easiest way to do it is just add extra markings on top. And then we're going to make a key. So just so I can, put this the correct way for you all to read. I'm going to make a key. And so is a city. That's a town. And then is a village. Okay. So now we have, making a mess, our key up here. I don't know if that's legible for you guys, but circles and stars make it pretty. You have me confused for an art major. I don't do pretty, I do functional, which means it may hurt your eyes and make them bleed, but it'll get the information across. So, there we go. Listen, don't ugh at me. You get what you get. I told you. I'm not an art major. So, now we have all of our cities marked out. Well, I think next we're going to go for the towns. So what we're going to do here, let's start in the center around here. And I think I actually have a couple ideas already for where I want a town. One right here. I think I'm just going to have the towns pretty much sit and separate all of the major cities there. Just one on each of those corners. You know what? I'm just going to be practical here. I'm just going to have these at the midway points. Towns as midway points. I missed one here. There's a city there. That makes this a town. That makes this a town. That doesn't need one. And there. Okay. So now we have a number of new towns. Is this a new D&D world? Well, what we are actually doing, and actually thank you for coming to the stream. Welcome. What we're doing is I'm going over the basics of world building and giving some suggestions and advice on how people can get started world building and at least some of my process for how the whole system works. I might use it for D&D. I don't know. Who knows? I certainly don't. I'm literally coming up with all of this on the fly as we go, just to go step by step through the process. I've already covered in the beginning, just for kind of a recap, for those of you who have just joined in, we started off with how to actually create a map itself. We talked about how some people can get they can freeze up and get themselves paralyzed by overthinking. They'll want to go into this with a complete plan of A to Z, how everything's supposed to work. I literally just threw some shapes on paper and went from there. In full truth, that is one of the best ways to go about it, in my opinion. Simply because it takes you out of the headspace of like, all right, everything must be perfect. I have to go in with this preconceived plan of masterpiece perfection. And you'll learn to hate yourself if you do that, and you'll never get anything done. And it opens you up to more creative thinking. You will have to think about solutions to why certain things are the way they are, or why they aren't the way they are. But that's pretty much where we started. We went through and we started finding answers. All right, well, as I was going through this, I was like, all right, well, land doesn't normally just curve that sharply naturally unless something happened, either a devastating catastrophe or man-made. So I put in a note that, hey, I want to use that for later for something important to the world, and I'm putting a city there. So I'm thinking maybe that's just a man-made port instead, which is fine, no big deal. You'll end up figuring out how these things work based on description. One of the other people watching has given the suggestion that this place be basically a volcanic hellish landscape. Coming up with the idea, I thought, all right, well, maybe this is just a large chain of volcanic islands. And what would, as a consequence of that, what would occur? So we have this, we have the craters that are at the top of the volcano. These crater and basins fill up with rainwater over hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds of years, and that's where these civilizations are born. They are born on the water's edge. So that means that you have cities and towns pop up, of course, along the river, where they can move, they can trade goods, where the ground is most fertile because of the mixture of ash and raw nutrients and the water. So this is where you're going to have your civilization just kind of tightly packed around rivers rather than expanded out into these volcanic wastes. From there we talked a little bit about how the entire ecological system of worlds work. We talked about how weather influences your plant lives, your flora, your fauna, how they all interact, how you need to build these things as steps on top of one another. And figuring out the consequences is easier when you walk forward than try and work your way backwards, because that's when you have to do the mental gymnastics of, all right, well, what do I have that leads to X? And sometimes the answer is nothing, and then you feel bad and you don't like it. So we're going to have some DM brand water here. Oh. So, the question goes to where do we go next? Villages is the answer, because I don't have any on this map yet. Oh, man. You know what? I'm just going to keep it pretty simple, all things considered. In between every town and city, there's a village. Yeah, I'm adding another city here. Just to keep my pattern going. Now you may say, Holden, so you're going to... Yes, the whole goddamn process. We're starting with the basics, and then I'm basically running a series where I'm going to be focusing on different things that'll help GMs, or your DMs and GMs of different games, providing some tools, tips, suggestions on things that you can include from the mechanics and cogs. Yeah, actually, exactly. How to create creatures, how they all interact with the world, different encounters, politics, creating civilizations, how they would evolve. I do intend to do this full series is starting out with world building, and you know I just might take it to the point where like, all right, well, we have this world, let's put it to the test. Let's run a game of D&D in it, just so you can see from bolts to bits how this gets turned into the real thing. A lot of what I hear from, in my experience, you get two kinds of people. There are two kinds of DMs. You have DMs that are the most amazing storytellers, but are terrible at world building. And then you have those that are amazing world builders, but are terrible at telling stories. And then occasionally you get somebody who is okay at both. I, for one, fall into the pretty good at world building, pretty mediocre at telling stories. I leave the storytelling to my father. He is the one with the masters in English, not me. But we're working on it. Does that sound like something you guys would be interested in figuring out the nuts and bolts of how it all works? Because I'm going to be running these basically once a week, in addition to the Chronicles of the Chaotic D&D sessions. Well, I'm glad. I'm glad they would be doing something that you find valuable. I always like providing real world reference to what I'm talking about. I have one of my roommates, Terrence. He I'm not sure if you have seen him pop into the background of my streams at all. He has his bachelor's degree in English. He is a huge English nerd. Reads all the time, writes very often, has a published fan fiction. Very, very creative guy. Fantastic at telling and creating and fabricating these story concepts. But he struggles with world building. No, that is not Scouty Boy. That's Chandler. He's usually off to my side. He's pretty solid at the world building. But not as well practiced as I am. And I hate to say that and sound like I'm tooting my own horn, but I tend to practice it just a little bit more with the active role plays and other processes and parties and things that I get involved with. But that's beside the point. I keep distracting myself while I am marking up the map. I'll put a village in there. Yeah, that'll do. Perfect. All right. So, we got our cities, our villages, and our towns. Now, it's fair to say that just based on the number here of cities, this is not a newly... No. Do not apologize for asking questions. That is the core of why I'm doing this. If you're like, questions are fantastic, and ask me every single question that comes to mind. Seriously. That is a huge reason as to why I'm here and why I'm even doing it in this first place. Take you through the process, answer questions to the best of my ability, and try and help everybody out. That's why I'm doing this. So never apologize for asking questions. Like, not just to me, but to anybody. So, we're all good. Ask away. Whenever you have more questions, that is. But you got me? Don't feel sorry about it. Angrily drinks DM brand water at you. Okay. So. That'll do. Alright. Excuse me for just a moment. Sorry, I needed to get my hair out of my face. I've never had my hair this long before. It's kind of nuts to me. We are rolling up on 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So this is the last half hour of content we're going to be doing tonight. So far, what we've covered, again, is main body, water, rivers, the general description of what our world looks like, and, forgive us, Father, not the least correct thing has ever been said to me. Sorry, just had to flex that for a minute. We've covered our waterways. We've started to put towns and villages and cities together. We've gotten these things, and we've started the process. We've gotten the most simple aspects of a map down. This isn't thinking about weather patterns. This isn't thinking about ecology. This isn't thinking about, all the details beyond the fact that you have a map. You have shapes, you have thoughts, you have ideas. They're on the paper. You are off to a good, solid running start. Now, I could assign homework. I'm not going to, because of royalty-free music, where you at, fam? I don't think I have it anymore. Gregorian chanting. Do I have? No. Can I? Hold on, I've been struck by a muse here. I am just taking the piss out of something here real quick, and
seeing how this works, because if I can get it done, I will be let's no. All right, hold on. Is that? Okay, is that too loud? I can't tell. Oh, of course, I get... okay. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the stream. I know you're catching it at the very end, so I'm just going to summarize what we have directly into... oh, man. All right. Is the background music too loud? I literally have no idea how to change the audio. I literally can't hear. Wait, all right, hold on. I want to. Hold on. Oh, okay, that is a little loud. All right, I need to turn that way the fuck down. Okay. Much better. Alright. Yes, that is Leon. But now that I know this here, I'm pretty sure. No, is that not? No. Alright, maybe. I don't know. Oh, no, it's Leon. Never mind. Well, now that I know I can include the background music, when I conduct a sermon, eventually, I want you to know I will do it over Switch, and I'm going to be using that background noise, and it's going to be great. How could I what? I've done nothing wrong. I plead the fifth. Anyways, so, just to go over what we're going to be doing and what we've done and accomplished over the past hour and a half. Hi, Nani. Glad for you to join us. I link your Twitch to Discord. My Twitch, my private Twitch is already linked. But when I go live on this one, I'm not sure how to do that, actually. I can definitely link... excuse me. I can definitely try and link it later on, just so it will go live for you guys, and it'll give you all notifications of when I'm streaming. I want to, I'm going to be running a... I'm going to be doing a every other Wednesday is the Chronicles of the Chaotic D&D session, and then Atmosphere just message me, I could do it, and then we get a... Okay, fair. I don't even know who some of the usernames are attached to at this point in time. I'm very tired. Oh, we're up to 11 viewers. That's awesome. Thank you so much, everybody, for showing up. I do appreciate it. I know I'm looking around between a bunch of different screens and like, oh, hi, Mercy. Thanks for coming to join the stream. I appreciate it. Yeah, if we could get that set up, that'd be great. I do a D&D session with the Chronicles of the Chaotic crew every other Wednesday from 8 to 10 p.m. 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I'm going to be running these DM sessions once a week as well. I will be running them on Wednesday
for the week. Wednesdays on the weeks we don't have the Chronicle sections. And I have yet to figure out what day I'm going to run them on our on weeks for D&D. Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, actually. Oh, but... Hi, Stone! Welcome to the stream. But anyways, just to cover back again what we've been doing for at least to wrap up kind of for the night. At least you go over what has been accomplished this evening. I've recorded most of it. I missed the the sheer disappointment. I'm not disappointed. I am tired though. It's been a very long day, but that's okay. Having the opportunity to work with you guys and then do this makes it all worth it. So, we are starting out very, very simply for world building. We've gone over some of the basics of not only how to build the landmass itself, some of the theory behind how ways to kickstart your creative process if you're one of the people who likes to overanalyze and overthink every detail. We've started to work on some of the general principles on how to translate ideas and thoughts and how to generate these ideas in general. We've gone over a lot of ideas that people have about world building and some of the anxieties that people get about it, some of the strengths and weaknesses of different world building styles. And I kind of just piece by piece went through and I created, well, what you see in front of you. We have the beginnings of a map, at least one kind of map. It has key, compass, rivers, bodies of water, some descriptions and notes. I probably actually should include the note that it's a volcanic island chain. Well, it's less of a chain and more of a cluster. That's the wording I'll go for. So yeah, these are the sorts of things that end up happening when you work more freeform on your ideas and the processes and just kind of let things evolve more naturally. You will eventually get to the point where you can just whip things up on the fly. I made mention earlier to my father, who I have much to thank for my creativity and my ideas, and is in fact responsible for the Levendus map, which we are using for Elderbane. As he made that map when I was but a wee lad, and did not have access to computers or competent ideas or competency in general. So yeah, I think just a small boy. So just going over the map here, does anyone have any questions about what's in front of you? Just play catch up, anything like that? We spent pretty much the whole night working on just this main continent. We didn't touch any of the smaller islands off to the sides and around it. Actually, I think we're going to turn that light down. Much better. Does anyone have any questions so I can go back over content? I don't know what's going on. I'm just here to see your face. Oh, well, thank you. You flatter me.
Having a template for world building is I'm sorry, I missed that one, Leon. Using a template is not bad by any stretch of the imagination. It is a very good way to keep yourself on process and help you not miss smaller details. So that's good. Just be sure to include areas on the map for arm wrestling events and such, because we gotta have these things. Do we? Do we have to have them? Do we really? Are we sure? Are we truly sure that we need to have them? Don't encourage him. Come on now. He doesn't need any extra help. Okay. Fine. We'll integrate somehow, some way. Need more of what happened last time. What do you mean what happened last time? Or do you mean the straight up just breaking a dude's arm? Or something else? We're not here to just break people's arms. It wasn't your fault, huh? Are you sure about that? I tried to not have to do it to him. Ay. Okay. Forgive me, I'm suddenly very tired. Must be from all that bullshit you're throwing at me. Ay. Ugh. I've completely lost my train of thought. Well, Jesus Christ. So does anyone have any questions about the world building process or any of what we did tonight? Just for the sake of either asking questions, going through the process, anything you might want to find out and use for yourselves. Just in the last few minutes before we wrap up for the night. For the memes, huh? Well, if you're gonna go for the memes, make sure you're following the channel. Make sure you like and follow the channel so you get updates and notifications on when we go live, and follow along with not only the D&D sessions at the Chronicles of the Chaotic, which is the group that I am GMing for, every other Wednesday, 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And Good, good, I'm glad. And then also feel free to join in. I know you were working, it's okay. And just be sure to tune in whenever we go live. We do have the D&D sessions, which I think are just chock full of chaotic nonsense that you guys would love and enjoy. Going back to Elderbane, just a different region from where your guys' campaign was taking place, which I do want to get back to running that, and I would love to stream that on Twitch as well. I just can't do it from the Chronicles of the Chaotic channel, as that is not, I'm just GMing that story, it's not my project. So we will continue on that road, and we will figure out how this is going to go. Yes. Well, that's a good question. I would like to start running it again soon. However, I just recently started a new job that is on third shift. So the scheduling would be a little bit interesting. So we would all have to get together and figure out what we want to do. In full truth, I'd kind of want to pick up where we were and finish off that particular arc. Just so we have that resolution. I know not everyone will feel the same, but that's okay. We'll just have to all get together and figure out what we want to do. And honestly, at this point in time, it's about 10 minutes, 13 minutes to 10 o'clock. And I think I'm going to wrap it up for the night here, folks. Thank you so much for tuning in. I truly do appreciate it. I hope more of you will be able to come and watch here in the future. Again, our schedules are from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every Wednesday. Every other Wednesday, so this upcoming Wednesday, we will be running the Chronicles of the Chaotic D&D session, which some of you you're always more than welcome to tune in and enjoy the chaos that is that particular group. They are very prone to taking bad ideas from the audience, so do with that information what you will. And from there, every other week at least, or every week, depending on what we're going to end up doing, we will be running the GM sessions. And with that, folks, thank you so much. I hope you all have a wonderful evening. Good night, and I'll see you next week.